Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Innal hamdalillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. To proceed, brothers and sisters and friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today I want to talk about something very interesting. You may have realized, post 9/11, you have this tsunami of new atheists online and offline trying to engulf our minds and our hearts. This is my limited perception of what's going on. I may be wrong. But there is a movement, and we can't deny that. We have the Four Horsemen, for example, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Dan Dennett, and the late Christopher Hitchens. You have their famous books, The God Delusion, A Letter to a Christian Nation, The End of Faith, and other books. And you have them on the media, social media, television, news channels. They have debates, discussions, articles, podcasts, blog posts, you name it. And this has created a movement. There's a repertoire of activity that has formed this movement. And when you insert yourself in this narrative, the new atheist narrative, you may think that all atheist academics are against religion. All atheist academics think religion is stupid and wrong and immoral. And all atheist academics agree with one another. Actually, that's wrong. So I just want to present to you some interesting quotations from fellow academic atheists to show that actually there is no this coherent movement that's engulfing our hearts and minds, to show that actually, yes, science is equal to atheism and progress and morality, and atheism is moral, and religion is just outdated, cliched, and should go back to the time of the goat and the sandal, right? That's it, really. And I want to break that narrative. It's false. It's a false narrative. It's a false dichotomy. For instance, take philosopher Tim Crane. He's an atheist himself. And look what he says. It seems to me that many of the claims made by the new atheists are simply not true, and that their view of the role of religion in world affairs is in many ways mistaken. Going on in this way about religion is not a very sensible approach to tackling the problem of the world. Take Professor Richard Norman, really nice guy. I even had an intellectual discussion with him. Very nice personality. He said, and he talks about Christopher Hitchens, the circularity of Hitchens' argument is that religion poisons everything. What about the good things done in the name of religion? If they're really good, that just shows that they're not really religious. The same circular argument appears in Hitchens' discussion of the atrocities generated by secular creeds. He says of totalitarian societies that because their leaders are regarded as infallible, such states are theocracies and therefore essentially religious. So he has an issue with Hitchens' circular argument. Take the philosopher of science, Michael Ruse. He had the following to say about Richard Dawkins. He says, I think Dawkins is ignorant of just about every aspect of philosophy and theology, and it shows. And he continues and adds, I think that you and Richard, talking about Richard Dawkins, are absolute disasters in the fight against intelligent design. We are losing the battle. What we need is not knee-jerk atheism, but serious grappling with the issues. Neither of you are willing to study Christianity seriously and to engage with the ideas. It is just plain silly and grotesquely immoral to claim that Christianity is simply a force for evil. And Mike Ruse says elsewhere, the rhetoric is strong and nasty. I have accused Dan Dennett, one of the Four Horsemen, of being a bully and someone who is a pig ignorant of the issues. He has told me that I stand in danger, perhaps over the point of danger, of losing the respect of those who I respect and of those whose respect I should crave. Dawkins likens me to Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister who tried to appease Adolf Hitler. So some of these quotations from these respected academic atheists, you see that there's infighting going on. So don't be bedazzled by the false dichotomy or by this social engineering that's occurring via the media and the masses, that atheism and academia is totally against religion. rather there's a lot of infighting going on, and it shows that some of the proponents of the atheist movement are unnuanced. Now, by the way, I have to add, and we shouldn't use the proponents of the atheist movement, like the Four Horsemen and their books and the arguments, as representations of our fellow friends who are atheists, because it's not the case. And it's really true. Someone I think mentioned me on Facebook and said, Hamza needs to realize that basically Dawkins doesn't represent me. I agree. So I really concede to that point. Every human being is distinct and different. My point here is not to say that they represent you. My point here now is to show that people who are affected by this movement, thinking it's like monolithic, is actually really wrong. The reality is there's infighting going on, they disagree with one another, and it shows that some of these horsemen or the neo-atheists are not very nuanced and actually don't care about reading about other people's arguments. So, there you go. It's not very strong movement, and hopefully we've exposed the dichotomy. Assalamu alaikum.